Welcome back to the Rebelcast. In this day and age we live in, art is all around us, and there's no denying that video games as a whole have become an artistic avenue. No different from Shakespeare's Hamlet speaking to York, reminiscing on the past, there's something to be said about retrospectives. They are the documentaries that speak to us about these old games that we know and love. In my time searching the internet as a whole, I have found someone who gets it, understands the idea of what art, informing, and creativity can be and should be. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I introduce your favorite son.
Hi, Dad.
I was waiting for that. That was good.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining. I'm a big fan. I'm just going to put it out there. Beyond anything else, I think what you do as far as the retrospectives, no one else does it like you. From the way you deliver audio, the way you put the clips together, you put your personal experiences in there, and you feel it throughout your content.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the point, right? Yeah. I think that was the genesis of all of it was to be as personal as I possibly can.
So that being said, why your favorite son?
So it feeds into it a little bit, into the personal aspect. I think I wanted to create like a relationship with the audience, and what's like the more time tried relationship than a father and son, right?
I like that. I do.
Yeah. It's also got, it has, it has its other perks. It's funny too.
It is.
And, yeah.
So I glanced at your other videos, and I nothing wrong with them. Fantastic art, fantastic content. But the one that drew me to you was the Legacy of Kain series.
Yes.
What was it about the Legacy of Kain that made you that, you know what, this is going to be my first retrospective? What was it about it?
Yeah, so the first thing that drew me to this, well, I played those games a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right. So I had a personal experience with them. There wasn't a lot of people talking about them to begin with. But when I started to do a little research and dive in, I found that the community, and obviously that's a big part of the video, the community was so passionate about these games. Like a decade more after they've been totally dead. Like there's no sign of them returning whatsoever, but these people are still out there. I mean, even Baz and Reyna are still doing a Blood Omen. They just found an alpha from that was lost forever, and they're doing a video series on it now, detailing all the differences and everything. So still to this day, they're incredibly passionate, and I just wanted to. I felt like somebody needed to talk about it. Somebody needed to talk about those games and talk about why, what makes people do that,
So in your episode about the Legacy of Kain, would you cover the entire timeline?
Yeah.
What was it about Kain? I mean, because I feel like you're trying. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I read this wrong, but you're almost trying to explain to the audience before you get to the climax that he's not all evil. He is dark. He has this, you said, anti-hero minus the hero, but he's in a struggle that he doesn't even understand in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about Kain? What is it about him that does it for you?
So I think that aspect, there's an element there of me knowing what's going to happen before the viewer does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that video, I was trying to set people, because obviously, you play Blood Omen and you play Soul Reaver.
Two different games. Like, I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah, entirely. Yeah. But you play those and Kain's the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Kain's the villain. And then in Soul Reaver 2, it turns out, okay, maybe he's not so bad,
Yeah.
So I, as the reviewer, had sort of forethought to say, to like plant these little things in, and before we get there, and say, maybe Kane has a reason for doing this. Maybe there's a reason he's doing this, and trying to put those past stories in the context of the future.
So let me ask you this: as far as that story goes, like I'm very like my feelings towards that kind of dedication. There's a game on the SNES called Shadowrun.
Okay, yeah.
One of my favorite games of all time. Like Jake Artemis and everything he goes through, and I wish they would remake that game. And they have. Fans have remade the game online on the Shadowrun. They took the Shadowrun that came out it was on Steam, and they reworked it to be the base beginning of the game.
Okay.
Do you think that art can be transformative as far as that goes? I mean, is it up to the fans? If these creators aren't willing to go back and give this another chance, does it come down to the fans?
I don't. I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. I don't know that there's like a responsibility, but I think that I think it's going to happen anyways. I mean, you have the Blood Omen Resurgence project that Warlord Kev's working on. I'm sure it'll happen eventually with enough radio silence on Crystal Dynamics end, which I'm sure. I don't know. I don't really have hope. I'm not as optimistic with that series ever coming back as some other people.
And it's tragic because it was very well. The story is beautiful in the sense that you have Raziel, this man who's been cast out. You empathize with his pain and his plight and everything he's gone through. But then you find out maybe it's not as black and white as most, because so many games during that time and before that time, they never took the time to really create a story like that.
Yeah.
Especially going from the PlayStation versions to the PlayStation 2. It was, I mean, Dragon Age, for instance, one of the games I have tattoos because that are characters of those games. Like I have Flemeth right there. Like,
hell yeah, nice.
But I don't think there would be games like Dragon Age had there not been a legacy of Kane. I think that changed the game. I'm glad that is the first retrospective you did. And the reason I'm harping on that is because I said I've watched it in its length many times. I love the way you convey it. So
thank you.
To step back, what is your process? What is it? How do you start? What are the first steps that you take in creating this art?
Yeah, it's started to get a little bit more refined. In the beginning, it was just kind of just chaos. But yeah, now I basically I find a series, and then I try to make some sort of like comprehensive list of media that I need to consume, whether it's games, movies, books, comics, articles, research, anything like that. I just even if like for Devil May Cry, like I don't even think I talked about this in the video, but I ended up reading Divine Comedy because that was a big inspiration for the first DMC. So I try to read like I watched a lot of noir movies for Max Payne.
Yes.
So I try to make a whole list of everything that I'm going to need to consume, and then just plan it all out. And then I just start playing games and writing and eventually get to the point where I narrow it down and have something to record.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like you rush yourself? I mean, because I know in creating art, creating any kind of content, there comes times when you get a little flustered and you want it to get done faster. You want to put that out there. Ultimately, your goal is to show people your work and either get praised or criticized, whatever it may be, but you want that ultimate finish. Does there come times when you feel like you're rushing yourself? Or do you take a break? How does that process work?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely happens. And I switched to my new upload schedule now, where I'm uploading the retrospectives in parts.
Yes, but yes, we talked about that offline.
Yes.
I think that's brilliant. I think that also gives you more time, but it also gives you digestible pieces.
Yes.
Not to deny that the work you've done previously, the Kane, Max Payne, Devil May Cry,
Mhm.
those, even in their large length,
Yes.
I couldn't stop watching.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I found myself, God, I know I'm getting tired. I know I'm about to fall asleep here because I'm tired. I get off work and I was watching your content, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to put it down.
Yeah.
So from that,
Mhm.
leading into Max Payne,
Mhm.
completely different narrative. No longer is it this like fictional world of, demons, angels, and biblical dialect. It is the life and trials of a broken man.
Yeah.
How did you take that on?
Um I mean, I think it's a similar I think it's a similar approach. Just looking at the character and trying to analyze what the writers and the developers wanted you to feel in those moments, and how the mechanics reflect that, um, and just all that stuff. I think it's a similar approach with any sort of story, um, but it was the same thing. It was a story that I felt like wasn't talked about enough, um, and games that weren't in the conversation right now. Um, so
I could
yeah,
say that I don't think they were appreciated as much as they could have been back then.
for
Kind of
sure.
like cult films.
Yeah.
Um, I go back, and this is going to be a little more humorous. There was a movie. It was made in Motown called The Last Dragon.
Okay.
It had Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, and Bruce Leroy, and it was a cult classic, and people loved the movie.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just it's just a throwaway movie. The Boondock Saints.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
a lot of people loved it, but it was a cult classic. I think what you're doing is you're bringing life back into these games. But I also, and again, tell me if I'm wrong here, I feel like you're putting a piece of yourself. So many people do these documentaries and there's retrospectives, and it's very robotic. And
Yes.
like I
Yeah.
said, I could have reached out to other people, but I didn't want to. I wanted to reach out to you because I feel like there's a piece of the sun in there. And every one of these, I walk away feeling like I know you a little better. And I'm like, okay,
It's good.
you're becoming part of the content itself. It's okay. Yes, this
Mhm.
is a story about Cain and Soul Reaver. This is a story about Max Payne and Fable, but your heart is in there, and I feel it. Perfect
Yeah.
example for me. You talked about in Max Payne 2, I believe, a song that it said you were listening to it over and it touched you. And I cannot remember the name of the song, but it just maybe you
Late
can
goodbye.
remind me. Yeah. And how the janitor himself was singing it and all these, but it affected you enough that you felt that it was necessary to talk about it. Tell
Yeah.
me about those pieces whenever you're in this and you're talking about these. What makes you feel like you need to put that in there, that these are moments that affect you personally?
Yeah. Yeah. Max Payne. I honestly feel like Max Payne is the my favorite script that I've written so far. Um, just because it was so personal. And like I was saying, it's that was sort of my goal in the beginning. I feel like I feel like to talk about a game, because games are so personal, it's such a personal medium, to talk about a game and uh not speak to the personal effect that it had on you, is kind of disingenuous, to me a little bit. Um and that's why I started doing this, because I feel like game journalism needs to be more personal. It's how do you I just don't understand how people talk about, like, Elden Ring, for example.
You tell what
It's
you're talking
it's
about. Yeah.
extremely new, but um how do you explain the feeling that you get when you beat Tree Sentinel after trying it for 45 minutes, which I did on stream recently?
Yeah.
Um how do you explain that feeling in like two sentences?
You can't.
It's not possible for me, at least. And maybe I'm just long-winded, but
I don't think you are. I think that you're throwback.
mm,
And the reason I say that is because you can talk about IGNs, you can talk about GameSpot, you can talk about all of these people who do reviews and reports on these games, but I don't feel any emotion. They're robotic again.
yeah.
It's just black and white. With you, you harken me back to the times, like I said, I told you offline or off recording,
Mhm.
I love the Dark Souls series. I fell in love
Yeah.
with it. Vadi Vidya, he does all these wonderful masterpieces as far as content, as far as the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne. But nothing nothing compares to someone who's actually experienced that. I'll go to so far as to say Dark Souls 3. Are you familiar with that?
Briefly, very briefly.
Okay, let me say that if I say the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, do you know who that is?
Mhm.
Okay, hours upon hours facing this behemoth, this
Yeah.
beautiful creature who is twisted and mangled, but there's a art to her movement, and if you watch the way she swings her swords and that you can hear the pain, it like these are things that I picked up on, and I thought I was alone in this. I thought maybe I'm over analyzing, but watching you makes me feel like I'm normal to say
Yeah.
I hear her screams, I hear her cries, I want to know why she's in pain,
Mhm.
and there's nobody out there, other than him, Vadi Video, talking about it. But then I see you, and you're more than just Dark Souls. You're
Mhm.
all these other things, but you're eliciting emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you decide not to be that fence rider, other than seeing these people? Is that just who you are, or what was it?
Um, I don't. I don't know. I think it's just a. I think it's an inclination to share something. I've always been. I've always wanted to do like creative things. Like I've wrote since I was in high school. You know, played music and done all kinds of stuff. But I think it was just an inclination to be creative, but also understanding that like writing is the best thing you can write about is what you know, and what do I know more than my personal experiences. So
How is Elden Ring going, by the way? I might add.
it's good. It's good. I haven't had a ton of time to play it. I
Yeah.
wish I did. But it's extremely good. It's going to be. I think it's crazy. It's huge. It's massive. I mean, you just keep playing it. It just keeps opening up, and you're just like, oh my god, this thing's huge. Yeah, I've only got like 10 hours into it so far.
You have
So
more than me. I streamed recently, and I got my ass kicked. I was joking about being king of the floofy hats when I got a helmet from a knight.
yeah, it's hard. It's
Oh,
hard.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But it's that it's like we talked about. It's that it's not about achievements. It's about that personal victory that I beat this thing. It took me 45 minutes, 3 hours, whatever it may be. I did
Yeah,
that. And
exactly.
so many people, there's a lot of controversy about the game now that it's so hard, and people are saying, well, I can't believe I bought this game. There's no curve. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like I've been playing Monster Hunter for a long time. I recently got
Okay.
back into it, but the idea of taking down the Rathalos, for the first time, and you did that alone without help, that's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I think it's just I don't know. I think a lot of people probably bought Elden Ring thinking it wasn't going to be another Souls-like game, and it is, and now they're disappointed. So
how
whatever.
can you be? It's a From Software game, so
Yeah, yeah.
buyer beware, I guess. But
Mhm.
so in talking about Max Payne, you talked about his love interest, and you talked about how if you
On the
completely beat it in the
sex.
highest, and you completely beat it in the highest difficulty, she lives. Do you think that
Yes.
ruins the story, or how does that? What is it? What would your
Um.
what would your preference be for the ending of Max Payne 2?
Yeah. I think I said it in the video, but I kind of hated that she lived. I thought that was a terrible. I mean, I know it's like a secret ending or whatever,
Yeah,
and it's they don't
spoilers.
ever. Yeah. 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 Spoiler. They don't ever talk about canon regarding that in three.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it just I don't know. I think he needed to have that reconciliation, and her death is kind of like the one, the continuation of his pain, the reconciliation with the death of his family, and then you're also leading into three, which
he's a train wreck. He's a
yeah,
fucking.
I have an incredibly apparently unpopular opinion that ending is perfect. But
I'm with
yeah,
you.
I think
I'm with you. I'm with you in the
yeah,
fact that he needed that, because I think the way you described it was, yes, she's died, but he's to a point where he's accepted the death of his wife and child,
yes,
and
yeah,
he needed that. That's part of his arc. Moving into Max Payne 3,
mhm,
completely different way of doing things. They went from the noir to more of a I don't know how you would describe it, but just that cinematic style.
Yeah, it's like a cop. It's like a modern action thing more than a noir.
Moving away from the slums of New York to the favelas, and the idea, like there was something I picked up that you said that I don't think anybody else would have noticed. They're speaking Portuguese, and most players of that game aren't going to be fluent in Portuguese. So
Yep.
like we're experiencing just like him. He's frustrated. He's like, asshole, I don't know what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but that's indicative of Max, the
Yes.
character. Now you had a partner who helped you on this, a gentleman who had a
Yes.
BoJack Horseman. Tell me about that guy.
Yeah, Belev. Yeah, I met him on a Discord. We were doing I found him in some channel and we talked about it. I told him I wanted to do a Max Payne thing, and he, we were like talking about doing a collaboration, and I was like, well, you can do the movie. I don't really talk about movies that much, so I might as well, have you do it. And yeah, we ended up doing it together. We faced, oh my gosh, that video was a mess trying to get that uploaded with copyright.
I imagine.
And people always ask me what my favorite video is, and I say it's Max Payne because I love the script, but there's just that video is such a wreck. It came out so chopped up because of the copyright with the Late Goodbye song, with the movie, like just so much stuff we had to
Damn you,
change
Mark
and cut.
Wahlberg, you son of a bitch.
It was ridiculous, but yeah, so yeah, we worked together on that one and made that. He makes pretty funny videos. Check his channel out.
Well, I do want to say this. I want to make everybody understand. I reached out to you after watching your videos, and it was almost instantaneous. You hit me up. You said hit me up on Twitter, and I want everybody to understand. Like, this is another guy who's like, he doesn't have to do this. You're like, you're gonna blow up. There's no way around that. Like, your content is top shelf. And I've said that about other people. Mr. Snowflake, for example, who I did mention that you liked his content, and that really was a nice shot. He was very happy about that. Wonderful guy.
Sweet.
But the fact that you go through all of this, you do all this, and you're so personable. And like I said, I've talked to other people. I've had many. I explained to you before. I thank you for being so professional, because so many other people I'll be ready for this. I'll want to do this. But for a guy who seems to be as young as you are, you have a good head on your shoulders, and you're willing to be open to other people and experiences. The fact that you work with this guy, I thought y'all were friends. The way that y'all's dynamic was, like, y'all were closer, but you just met him on a Discord. That again, it explains like you as a person. Going back to talking about pieces of you in your content, you get a good idea who your favorite son is. You're excellent with your marketing too, and the idea that you have these catchphrases, you have this stuff going, and it's like, oh, if you hear, "Hey, Dad," they're going to be like, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yeah.
So before we get into the fable and all that, I want to talk about the channel itself.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, this will be pretty obvious. Some people have noticed it quite a bit in my earlier videos. It's much more apparent in my earlier videos, a little bit the Max Payne too. But one of my biggest influences is Tim Rogers, Action Button Reviews on YouTube. He's a super big influence. I saw one of his videos and I saw what he was doing, and obviously I've been watching like long form analysis content for a while. And I don't know, I saw one of his videos and I was like, I want to do this. I want to make a big fat video about a video game. And I originally started planning out this huge retrospective on the Shin Megami Tensei series. And it's like 70 games long. Jesus. And I had never made a video before, and I thought I could do it, and I couldn't, because it's almost 70. An impossible task even now.
That's the white whale right there.
Yeah. So I ended up I worked on that for like a few weeks, and then I was like, this is too much. I have to shelve this for a little bit.
But and then give up, though.
No, it's on the back burner. I have to figure out how to do it. I have to figure out how to parcel it out and how to work on it and all that stuff. So it'll be on there eventually. But yeah, I ended up, I was playing 13 Sentinels at the time and just loved it. And I was like, I guess I'll make a video about this. And I started writing. So rest was history.
I admire that because, like so many people, again, I can't age you because I don't know your actual age, but what I'll say is this: you do not seem like the typical person that, if I would, what I would assume your age is, who is, oh, this has got too hard, I'm going to go do this now. You seem to stick to something, and when you're in it, your teeth are in it, and other than an act of God, you're going to keep going forward.
Yes.
And pacing your videos, what is it that you want? Like, what is your ultimate goal with these videos? I know that, yes, you're trying to inform about a specific game, but what is it that you want to convey? What is it that you want your viewers to feel and after they've listened or watched any of your content?
Oh man, it's a good question. It's hard to say, I guess. But I really the best answer I can really give is I want people to feel something. I want people to feel something. Whatever they feel, I guess, is up to them. But that's my original goal, was to get people to feel something about video games and overall just realize that video games are more than just that they can be taken seriously. And that's not to say that video games aren't taken seriously now, but I feel like I definitely have some humor in my videos for sure. But I feel like a lot of people in the sphere, they try to undercut a lot of stuff with humor, and that's fine. And that's a completely different approach than I'm taking. And I'm definitely not dissing anybody and respect everybody who does it for sure. But I decided that I want to take this stuff seriously. And you'll see that in my videos, even when there's ridiculous stuff going on, I'm talking about it in an incredibly genuine way because it's a story that somebody presented, and I'm trying to take it seriously as they presented it, whether it's ridiculous or not.
And see, I think you're getting that across because yes, there is a little bit of satire in some of yours. There's a little bit of comedy, but I feel it's personal. This is all serious. You want us to feel what you feel for these games, whether we, at the end of it, we dislike the game or we want to go, let me go find this game on Steam. Let me find out what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel that. So as an example, Mass Effect, the series Mass Effect, right? 1 and 2. 2 clearly I feel was the best of the trilogy.
Yes.
3 had great mechanics, but of course there was that ending. This is my frustration with the current sphere as far as gamers and those who digest this stuff. The creators of the game had a vision. It ended the way it ended, and many, including me, I wasn't a fan of the ending.
Yeah.
I'm appreciative that they went back and they added the extra content. I am. But my frustration is we have a generation of people who, instead of accepting that this was their artistic vision, they want to write petitions. You need to change the ending.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is your opinion on things like that? Do you feel like this was their vision or that they need to change it? Do they need to humble themselves to the fans? What is your idea there?
Yeah, I think gamers are an entitled bunch for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. I think yeah, I don't know. I think you enter into a weird territory, right? Because movies can't be patched, right?
True.
So a movie comes out and that's just what it is. Most of the time, I think you have Cats is a pretty weird example, but or and the same thing with music for the most part. But games, they can, right? And you can change things after it's released. You can fix stuff. And I think because that option is there, people are just going to take it the whole way. And I just don't think that's right most of the time. I think if a game's broken, you should fix it.
So you mean mechanically, but not story. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't really believe in in changing the story once it's out. That was the story. That was what, that's what they presented. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And you can be critical about that and you can upload videos about that, but I don't think that you should drastically change a game's story once it's already released. If you want to release DLC that maybe puts that story in a new context, then yeah, sure, go for it. But don't I don't want you changing quests or anything, or getting rid of characters or introducing new ones.
Trish, I knew I was going to like this guy. So, speaking of criticism, you said that. What kind of criticism have you? I don't see anybody truly criticizing you. I think people should just love your work for what it is. But look, we're in this generation we're in. What kind of criticisms have you faced as far as your work?
My biggest one that I can't live down to this day is the way I pronounce Raziel in my Legacy of Kain video.
Oh, Jesus,
that's the biggest one I get. People love to point that out.
How else would you say it though?
I think I can't even, honestly, it's been so long since I've watched the damn video
because I'm pretty sure Kain calls him Raziel.
So I think I say Raziel, or maybe I say Raziel. I think I might say Raziel, and then it's people say Raziel or something. I don't know. It's such a small thing. I don't know.
Nitpicking, basically.
Yeah, very. That. The one that really bothers me that I get sometimes, which it's pretty rare. You're right. I don't get a ton of criticism, but I mean, I'm only approaching 10K subs now, so I'm sure it'll come in due time. But right now, the biggest one that annoys me is when people claim that I don't play the games. Like they'll say like, "Oh, you didn't notice this little detail. You probably don't. I bet you didn't even play the games, or you didn't even do research or something like that." And that bugs me just on the sole fact that like it would take me so much more effort to make a video this long without playing the games than it would to actually just play the fucking game. Like,
well, I mean, and like to argue that point. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you would be able to elicit the emotion that you do. I mean, unless you're like, unless you're a great pantomimer or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't think you could elicit the emotions that I'm feeling from these videos unless you've actually experienced it. And again, that goes back to some people like to go online and watch these games played out over as a movie structure, like and that's fine. I'm not here to judge that. In fact, I love the Metal Gear Solid series, and I've gone back and watched the cutscene movies that they put on YouTube.
Me too.
But it doesn't mean I haven't experienced it for myself. I was Solid Snake in a time. I experienced. You were Raziel, you were Kain, you felt those experiences. So I wouldn't take too much of that. I mean, you're always going to have your detractors. It's just part of the game.
Yeah.
So if that's all you're getting, I think kudos. You're still doing a good job. You talked about influencers, right? Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh, going the Chad.
Loved him.
Hell yeah.
Super Mecha Christ. All the things that came. I see you as I think this would be high praise, as a younger, more serious version of him.
Oh shit!
Seeing behind that's what he did. He told you the story of the game. He played the game. It was very bare bones in its time, but people grew to love him, and he became an aficionado as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. I would cross you with a Matt Pat who goes in and does those theories on games because you're giving them structure and helping them understand something they may not, and let them see another turn without trying to completely manipulate and influence their decisions. Would you consider yourself in that company?
I don't know. I mean, Angry Video Game Nerd is the Rolf man himself.
He's the pinnacle, man. He's the man.
That's big praise. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I'm not sure. I don't know. People compare me to a lot of people, and I think there's so many. I think the sphere that I'm in is growing so fast these days, and is becoming so big, and it's really showing that people will watch, a 6, 7, 12 hour video, And I think it's just I think it's great to be in that company, you know, and I think it's great to be compared to anybody. I don't know really what I see myself as. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to compare yourself to anybody.
I'll say if you build it, they will come. And the sphere that
Exactly.
you're talking about, it is growing. I mean, I've seen more retrospective channels pop up in the last year than I've seen ever. It's
Yep.
really a market that people are getting into. But I don't feel like you look at it as a market. I think you look at it as this is what you want to create, and you're going at it. No different than I love talking to people like you and interviewing people because it's something I do. I told
Yes.
you before, the day that this becomes work, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I like I said, I don't feel like this is work for you. This is a passion project. If you're
Yes.
able to have some sort of monetary gain, great. That helps you move forward and that you spend more time doing what you love. And
Yep.
ultimately, that's what we all want. We want to do something we love. So, in that same breath, talking about your more recent content, the Fable series, that's when I reached out to you after I saw the first one because I told you that I'd seen the Legacy of Kain one far before. And I
Hmm.
was like, please let this guy do more. I'm not going to subscribe yet because I'm not
Hmm.
going to sit there and like stalk his channel waiting for his next content. But then I came back. You had Max Payne, you had Devil May Cry, and then you had Fable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. When I bought my Xbox brand new years ago, I had saved up all my money. Everybody had a PlayStation. I had my issues with the PlayStation. I said, you know what? Green's my fucking favorite color at the time. Let me get an Xbox.
Okay.
And Fable. Everybody
Yeah.
talked about Fable. So I bought it. And I was sitting there talking to the guy at GameStop. Somebody walked up and stole my copy.
Oh, damn.
I got to go back and look at the camera footage. Yeah, somebody stole it. But it
Yeah.
meant so much to me because of the hype. I bought it again. I said, "Fuck it."
Shit.
This is back when the games were $40. So I was like, you know what? I saved all this money. I worked my ass off I was working at a fast food place,
Hmm.
but I bought it again. Fable means something to me. I was, as you called him, Saber.
Yeah.
I was that character, and that's a beautiful thing about that game. There's so many branching paths. You can be an archer. You can use magic. All these things. What made you pick Fable of all games?
Um, I I love the idea of branching storylines in games. I'm really I love tabletop RPGs, D&D stuff like that. And the um the freedom that those like mediums offer you is just insane. So I love stories where you can make choices, you can make decision. There's morality involved. You're questioning, you know, what is what is a hero, what is a villain. These things, these questions, they're so interesting to me. So and Fable was kind of the obviously it's been done far before that, but Fable was the introduction to that medium for a lot of people. It wasn't the first to do it for sure, but it was the introduction for a lot of people and sort of mass audiences, especially being on the Xbox.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted to delve into it and see, you know, what maybe I could answer some of those questions. Maybe I could find an answer, and also just talk about another series that's had quite an unfortunate end.
Absolutely. Oh, it's. We'll get into that because I don't want to because your third one hasn't come out yet, but that's definitely
No.
coming.
Yep.
I believe it was Hideo Kojima,
Hmm.
creator of the director of Metal Gear Solid, who once said,
Bless up.
Players to the east want to experience a story,
Hmm.
but players to the west want to be part of that story."
Yeah.
And I could be wrong about him being. I'm almost positive it's Hideo, but that quote always meant something to me, and that's what Fable meant to me. Because look, if you come from Japan and all that, Final Fantasy is king.
Yeah.
We didn't have that here. We didn't have our title because that nothing. It was indicative of what we wanted as a whole.
Hmm.
Fable, like I felt, was supposed to be that, and it breaks my heart that the tragic tale that has gone down. But the story itself is very similar to its own downfall. In the end of Fable, you talked about it, how you made a choice. You chose to not take the Sword of Aeon.
Hmm.
You chose to save the life of your sister, which I think that most good-hearted people who have that, who are not bound by power would have made that same choice.
Mm.
But when you played the game, what side do you lean towards? Are you that person, or were you towards your evil side, the hood?
Yeah, whenever I play these kinds of games, I always go good. I try to do, like, whenever a new one comes out, if I'm playing something new, I always try to do the renegade playthrough or something.
But you lean over.
Yeah, but I feel bad. I always just feel bad.
Thank you, because I feel crazy. I have friends that they've like, oh no, renegade for life, bro, and I get it. I'm a dick. I'll be honest with you. And like, I'll use Mass Effect for instance. I did punch that reporter right in her mouth.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is this: like, you're insulting my crew. You're insulting these people that are risking their lives.
Yeah.
So I could find justification for that in that game. It wasn't so black and white in Fable. It was very like, oh, well, you have this or you have this. You could rob these people or you could, Robin Hood. Leading into Fable 2, I know this is your more recent content. It was very disappointing to me.
Okay.
Not the content. Your content was fantastic, but the game itself. Remembering, and you reminded me of those old feelings. And how did it feel going back after all these years and replaying that game?
Yeah, it's weird. It's I don't know. Like I said in the video, I still don't know how to feel about it. It's so good in some ways,
yes,
and it's just so bad in some other ways.
Your ending really hit me, because you were so true. You said that in Fable 1 there was a clear, concise, good ending where these things were saved, but in the end of number 2, it's like, yeah, you saved all these people, but you lost your dog.
Yeah,
you lost your sister.
It's I got what they were trying to do, right? They were trying to be subtle. They were trying to introduce subtlety into the choice, which makes sense and is an obvious path to go down when you think about it. But implementing that is incredibly difficult, because then you get rid of the dynamic and the thesis of the first game, which is making like two or three different, like, good storylines to play. And there's so many other things involved in that, like the Shadow Court decision.
Yes.
Where it seems like contradictory, which, what are they trying to say here? Are they trying to say that, don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing? I don't know. It's a puzzle. That game is a strange little puzzle.
It makes you think. I think that the goal was to make it, and fuck Reaver, just fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And no pun intended to Lady Grey, but there's a lot more gray in Fable 2.
For sure. Yeah.
And I do feel like the beginning was very detailed. I felt like the combat system, all of that. I agree with you about the death cycle, like dying and coming back. There's not enough meat there for me. That bothered me. I didn't like that way they went. But I felt like they rushed towards the end, because I felt like I had no experience with Reaver other than the Shadow Court. Like, it was instantly, we're done here, bam, we're on the way to the Spire.
Yeah.
So you finished Fable, you finished this. I do love how you do a both sides of the coin. Like, you don't just pick, well, this is what I played, you have to go play the other side. No, you're giving your honest opinions on both sides. Mm-hmm. Even if you're going against the grain as far as your morality, you are, but you're giving the viewer the idea that, hey, look, I'm making this choice, but it's to educate you. This may not be who I am, but I want you to know both sides, so you have an informed decision. You finished Fable, and I know I'm clearly Fable 3 is coming next. I look forward to that. I really do. What's the pinnacle, though? What is one game that series you're looking forward to above all that you haven't really, if you don't want to give that information yet, fine. But I figure while I have you here, I got to ask.
So, I mean, there's a lot. The Shin Megami, obviously coming back eventually to the Shin Megami Tensei series, will be like,
hoping you can get that, because that's like I said, that's the white whale. I don't.
Eventually getting there will be a big mountain, because it'll also be kind of like, this is what I wanted to do in the beginning, so getting here now is kind of crazy. Metal Gear Solid. I don't. So many people have asked me to do that series, and I just don't even. I don't even know if I'm up to task to do it. Like I still feel
It's rough.
inconsequential, in the grand, because there's so many good. The only thing I feel like is I feel like no one has released a huge retrospective on every game.
Hmm.
But there's so many perfect ones on each game. Like the Metal Gear Solid 4 was a disappointment.
Yeah, it was
It's like
rough.
the 4 hour I can't remember. Steak Bentley. Steak Bentley did that one. You have Tetramor's Metal Gear Solid 5 retrospective, Paper Starships Metal Gear Solid 2 retrospective. Like there's just so many good ones on each individual game that I feel like beating like doing more than they've already done is kind of difficult. It's like asking me to go back to Elder Scrolls when like
Yeah.
Patrician is, just absolutely destroying uh that whole
But
land.
I think that you're different in the sense, like, yeah, they've done great retrospectives.
Mhm.
I will never deny their work. It's beautifully done, well crafted, and it's informative, which
Yeah.
is the most important of all of it. All the content needs to be informative.
Yeah.
But yours is different because there's heart to me.
Mhm.
Like I spoke about earlier, a lot. Not to say that theirs are bad, but there's a little bit of robotic nature to them, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. With
Some of
you,
them.
the reason I wanted to speak to you, the reason why you're in this position, I didn't reach out to anybody else. Your heart, and I feel that, and I feel it coming through your voice and your context and everything you put through. I would love to see your ideas on the whole Metal Gear Solid 5, Venom Snake, and your opinions on him. I
Mhm.
would love to see you take on FemShep and Shepard and
Yeah, Mass Effect. I want to do that
oh
eventually.
that because you're
Yeah.
so detailed. I don't wish that hell on you to have to go through that,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean, as deep like you don't half-ass anything in your
yeah.
work. Yes, I'm kissing your ass right now, hardcore. But like you don't half-ass, and I suggest anybody. I'm going to put your channel in the description here, but anybody who's interested in a well done retrospective, a full. Let's be real. You make documentaries. That's
Yeah,
what you
sure.
do, and they're it makes me want to go get all three Max Paynes again. It makes me want to go try to find Fable again.
Mhm.
So I look forward to that content because your heart is in a place where we know that's you.
Mhm.
We know it's the son. The son, your favorite son, is doing this for you, Dad, and I hope you like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, moving forward because we're getting closer to the end. You've been hitting subs like crazy. Your view count, your views are fucking astronomical. I just for someone with the channel you have, it's incredible. What how do I say this? What is the plan for the future?
Um just keep riding the wave.
Is it going to be just video games, or do you plan on like movies, perhaps, or anything like that?
I'd like to. I love movies and music. Like I said, I played music since I was a kid. And so I have a big passion for both of those. Movies, I wanted to be a script writer when I was in high school. Like I wanted to write movies. I've written a
I
ton
hate
of
to bust your
scripts.
bubble, but you're doing it.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, I never really saw it as this way, but I'm more than happy. This is amazing. I think I
There's
think
Scorsese in there. I could feel it.
um yeah, so I'd like to do that eventually, to branch out a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how I can make that happen. I probably can't do it on the main channel. But I do have a project that I'm working on with a buddy of mine who, if people are in my Discord or my streams, they'll know, Sloppy Joe. We're working on a project we're gonna do, in a few months, I would say it'll be out, that is gonna deal with some movies, and I'm excited for people to see that because I think that's gonna be funny.
I feel like are you familiar with the channel CZ's World?
I don't think so.
He does
Not
horror.
off rip.
He does horror,
Okay.
and he basically depicts characters. Like he just recently did Laurie Strode from Halloween.
Hmm.
but you and him are very similar. I thought you might know, or y'all might be related because y'all's
Oh shit.
delivery is very similar.
Okay.
I could see you doing that, but again, I think that you would have more emotion. Where he's again, I hate saying robotic because it just sounds like I'm picking at these people, but no, they do quality. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think you would be great as far as talking about people and characters from movies. Hell, talking about music. You and I are both Tool fans. You
Hell
knew
yeah.
my intro from the jump, but most people don't. Like hell, talking about the life of Maynard. I mean, I think that would be something that you would be excellent at because
Yeah,
you seem to have a passion for it.
for sure.
So we're coming towards the end, and I did mention this before. I usually don't mention this to the other, but I thought I'd change it up this time.
Yeah.
Your favorite son. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
CEO of YouTube. I don't know, to be honest. It's a really hard question to answer. I try not to think too far ahead into the future. I think I'm going to do this as long as I possibly can. I love doing this. This is amazing, and I am extremely grateful for everybody that watches and subscribes and follows my channel every single day that I wake up, because this is way more than I could have ever asked for. So as long as I can possibly do this, I will do this, or some form of it, whether it's games or movies or whatever it evolves into. I'm just going to kind of ride the wave.
I like that because it's open ended. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just it's I like I said, I didn't expect this. I never expected this. I felt like the Legacy of Kain video would be successful to a certain extent, but I was, like I tell people, I've tweeted about this a million times. I had 50 subs when I uploaded that video, and my goal for the end of the year was to hit 100, and I ended up hitting, I think, like 5K or something like that, or almost 5K, in like 2 months. So I didn't expect any of this stuff, and I'm just extremely grateful and will be happy with wherever it goes.
You're creative, you're humble, you're smart, you're a very articulate fellow. I thank you for your time. I thank
Thank
you
you
for the
for having me.
content you create because it is very entertaining. I wish you nothing but success. I'm glad I got to speak to you before you blow up because it's going to happen. I believe that. And that's what this is all about. Talking to people who, there's no denying. It's not a matter of if or when.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to make it clear, like you came here of your own volition. I didn't have to pay you or anything. It's just you're just a humble guy, so I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that too.
Of
That
course.
being said, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy in this, what have you, but thank you so much for your time. Um,
Anytime.
I'm Dan. That is your favorite son, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye, Dad.
Peace.